What's up, guys? I just wanted to go over today kind of what I keep in my gym bag, because I've seen a lot of trending videos with this sort of theme, and as a strongman I have a lot of interesting equipment in my gym bag that helps me get through all the events that I have to train for, so I figured I'd go over it today. Starting off first with the bag itself. This bag is from Lift Heavy Be Kind, which is actually a sponsor of the channel. And they have a great gym bag that has this option of, you can compartmentalize the bag with these little Velcro dividers that are in there, so that no matter how much equipment you have, you can always keep it organized and keep it tucked away where you need it, so the stuff doesn't get all jumbled together like it does in some other gym bags. It also has side pockets that I usually use for stuff like my sleeves, or like if I'm going to the gym after work, I put like a change of clothes in there, stuff like that. It's very, very useful. And then when it comes to equipment inside the bag, let's start off with this. This is my hard belt. I have an SBD brand hard belt. I'm not sponsored by them. I just found a really good deal on this one. And for those events where it's a max effort or something really, really heavy for a lot of reps, you want to make sure that your core is nice and stable. So having a hard belt is really beneficial. And alongside that, I have my soft belt, which this one is an Evolution Athletics brand soft belt. Kind of, mutually agreed among a lot of people that it's one of the best in the business, just because it's a good middle ground between that hard belt and really flimsy soft belt. So like for your warm-up sets or lighter movements where you don't have to worry about as much support, you can use a soft belt. Moving on to my sleeves. In Strongman, usually we're allowed to use elbow sleeves on pressing events or loading events. And I have the SBD elbow sleeves. Again, not sponsored, but these ones are very useful in the way that on the outside here, the part that goes on the outside of your elbow, it's a little bit thicker, and the part of the inside is thinner, so that if you're in that rack position where your arms are nice and tight in, it's not going to constrict the blood flow to your biceps, so everything's nice and comfortable. And these are just the best ones that I found for that when it comes to the dynamics of different events. So for a max effort or for reps, they're really easy. Now, these are my knee sleeves. I have the Hook brand knee sleeve, which is usually a Olympic lifter's choice for knee sleeves. The reason I have this is because a lot of strongman movements, you're moving around a lot. You're not in the same place for quite a bit of the events. And also, especially for loading or farmers or that kind of thing, I like how easily these move while also providing warmth for my knee joints, because you want a little bit of that support. But as you can see, they don't move too much, or they move a lot, so they're not too stiff. And it's nice and easy to do all of the events you need to do with these. And then in the center compartment of my gym bag, I have my deadlift shoes, or squatting, depending on what I'm doing in the day. If I feel like wearing flats for squats. Deadlift shoes, to an extent, aren't really necessary. You can just use socks, or sometimes if you're outside, you'll use your bare feet, that kind of thing, whatever kind of suits you. But for these, the main reason that I like them is, number one, that my socks don't get all dirty, and I can walk around the gym and my socks aren't going to get dusty and that annoying texture on the socks. And they also have grip on the bottom. So when I deadlift, my feet are out to the sides just a little bit. And with this, it's not going to slip like I've had when I wear socks sometimes. My foot will like kind of skid to the side a little bit at the top of the rep. And that doesn't happen as much in these, so they're very useful for that factor as well. In here, I also have a pair of gloves. These are kind of just like working, like landscaping gloves, and they're more of an event-specific thing. I'm using them for fingers right now, but I also use them for setting up stuff like Atlas stones when I am moving things around initially and I don't want to get tacky on my hands yet. You can use these to make sure that you don't get your hands dirty when you don't really want them to be. And in this compartment over here, I have my stone clothes. So I have a thicker pair of neoprene shorts. These are the Evolution Athletics shorts. They're great for stuff like stones, because the thicker material will protect your thighs from the sticky surface of the stone, or if you're loading a keg, it's nice and thick so it's not digging into your legs. And it'll keep you warm if you're outside. If you're lifting outside in harsher conditions, it'll keep you insulated. And in that same vein, I have my Evolution Athletics grip shirt. And this is very useful for loading events, especially kegs, because kegs don't have any texture. Sandbags have a little bit of grit to them, so they'll stick to you a little bit easier. But this here, you'll see in some of my other videos, like when I'm lifting stones, it has rubber on the outside so that when you go to pick something up and drive through, it's not gonna slip right off. And the big benefit of the Evolution Athletics grip shirt, as opposed to some other ones, again, I'm not sponsored, but it's just useful. It also has that rubberized texture on the inside so that it sticks to your chest and it's not gonna drag the shirt right off of you, because sometimes with other grip shirts, the outer grip works great, but then it'll slide down and you'll end up losing a stone or a keg because the shirt slipped off and not necessarily because the texture failed you. So that's one of the reasons why this is a good shirt. Only downside is if you get the size that actually properly fits you, it's gonna be really hard to take it off. So just gotta have a buddy around to help out with that. Not necessarily vital, but I always have an extra t-shirt in case I rip one, or in case something gets dirty and I want to change, or I'm sweaty or whatever. Now moving on to the most complicated section of my bag, I have my straps and wraps in this compartment over here. These are the standard straps, the Evolution Athletics Figure 6s. And these, they just go on your hand like this for any sort of deadlifting event or event you're allowed to use straps on. They're very useful, nice and heavy duty, so they're not gonna be flimsy. And I've had these for, I think 2 years now almost, and no issues. They haven't broken, they're not frayed, all that stuff, they're great. In that same vein, I have my SBD Figure 8s. Strongman is kind of moving in the direction where Figure 8s aren't allowed for every lift, especially straight bar deadlifts, raw from the floor, that kind of thing. So these are useful when you can use them because there is no risk. Like with these straps, there's an open end to it, so if your grip slips, there's a chance it'll come out. But with these, they fit on your hand and there's a loop in there where there's no chance of it coming off, which is why sometimes they're banned, because it's basically a cheat code for never dropping a deadlift, especially for reps. These ones are just really comfortable, and when I'm allowed to use them, I do. So moving on, I have my Evolution Athletics wrist wraps. These have a decent amount of flex. They're a little bit worn, so I should probably get a new pair sometime soon. But they're just kind of for wrist stability. So when you're pressing, you want to make sure that your wrist is as stable as possible. And while your wrist is strong enough, once you get to certain weights, it'll really push your wrist back and it'll cause some discomfort, especially at the top of a press. So these are just really useful for supporting that joint and helping to make sure that you don't lose a press just because of some wrist instability. So those are really, really nice. In here, I also have a tennis ball. And no, this is not for just playing around with and messing around with. This is actually very useful. If you don't have a massage gun, you can use this to kind of push into your muscles and loosen them up. So I use this during warm-ups for stuff like deadlift, or for stones, I'll rub it in the biceps, get the blood flowing, just to make sure that you can be as loose as possible when you're going to lift. This also works really well if your back is sore, your legs are sore. You just sit on the ground and you can roll over top of it. It's nice and easy. No complicated stuff here, just a tennis ball. I always have extra chalk on me. This one is unopened because I actually bought it for the competition I'm doing in a month's time in December, which if you haven't seen my training videos for that competition, you should check them out. There's a playlist right on the homepage of my channel. Got some good training in so far, and there's some good training to come, so make sure you stay tuned. But this is just regular chalk to help with the grip on any event. Basically, there's really no event, to my knowledge, that chalk is banned, and it just helps dry off your hands so that it's really your grip doing the work and not necessarily your skin. And finally, in this front pocket here, I have some Rogue resistance bands. I've had these again for a year or two. These are great for warm-ups, warming up the shoulders, the back, all that kind of stuff. And additionally, if you want to use them for your weightlifting movements, you can put them on the bar and add some extra tension, just add some extra dynamics to your lift. But I mostly use these for warm-ups, and they're very, very useful because then You can just have them in your bag in a little corner, and if you go to a comp and they don't have the equipment that you like to warm up with, you can kind of supplement it with a band, and that makes it very, very useful. So yeah, and I also have an extra water bottle in here. One of the things that will make or break a workout sometimes is how hydrated you are. So if I ever run out of water, I know that I have an extra one in here just to make sure I can get through the workout with no problems, no issues. My muscles aren't going to be too strained because I'm dehydrated. It's just something I like to do to stay ahead of the ball. And finally, I have this little cuff here from CERBERUS, and it's basically just a pressure cuff. So if you've ever been lifting and your elbows feel a little bit tight, or your knees feel a little wonky and your shoulders are kind of uncomfortable, you can use this cuff. For example, let's say my elbow is hurting. Sometimes when I'm pressing or deadlifting too much, my elbows have a lot of wear and tear. You can put this right above that joint, and the extra pressure helps alleviate some of the pressure from that joint so that you can lift comfortably. And especially on comp day, these can be very useful if you're hurting a little bit and you need a little extra boost. So yeah, that's that. And like I said, the bag is from Lift Heavy Be Kind, a great bag. And oh, how could I forget, on the end here, I have my mouthpiece. So this is a bit of a controversial piece of equipment because some people really like them and some people really don't. I'm not exactly sure why, but I just like to have a little extra thing to bite down onto because I grit my teeth a lot. So if you grit your teeth a lot, I would highly recommend getting a mouthpiece, because then while you're lifting, it's not gonna damage your teeth at all. It's not gonna be annoying. Your jaw's not gonna hurt as much. And you can still breathe perfectly fine as opposed to having your mouth completely closed and all tight. So yeah, that basically wraps things up. If you guys have any questions about any of my equipment, if there's anything I'm missing, or a little bit more clarification as to why I use a certain piece of equipment, I'd love to hear it. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, stay tuned for some more training content coming up because we're about a month out from Brutal Winter, which is really fun. I'm really excited for that one. So I hope to see you guys in the comments. Thanks.